you likely carry an answer to the question, who is Allah, without realizing when you accepted it. It feels settled, inherited, repeated, and rarely examined. Allah is spoken of as known, defined, and clearly established through doctrine and language. Yet the moment you try to explain who Allah is, you rely on descriptions that seem to reduce more than they reveal. This is where Ibn Arabi enters the discussion, not as a theologian offering stronger definitions, but as a thinker questioning whether definition itself is the problem. He asks whether what you call knowledge of God is genuine understanding, or simply familiarity reinforced by repetition. If Allah is infinite, can the mind ever claim certainty without contradiction? Islamic tradition offers many names and attributes for Allah. They are often treated as explanations. Ibn Arabi challenges this assumption. He argues that names do not define essence, they only indicate relations. A definition draws boundaries, but God, by necessity, has none. When attributes are mistaken for essence, certainty replaces inquiry. The mind feels settled, but understanding becomes shallow. The question is not whether Allah has names, but whether the mind confuses naming with knowing. If every definition excludes something, what does it mean to define the one who excludes nothing? Ibn Arabi is often labeled a mystic, but his work is rigorously philosophical. He does not reject Islam's foundations, he examines how they are understood. His concern is coherence. He asks whether God is one object among others, even if supreme, or whether God is the condition that allows any object to exist at all. For Ibn Arabi, Allah is not located somewhere, nor positioned outside the universe as a distant entity. Allah is existence itself, without limitation. If God is not one being within reality, but reality's very basis, what could possibly stand apart from him? To clarify this, Ibn Arabi distinguishes between things that exist and existence itself. Objects come into being, change, and disappear. Existence does not. It is not a thing, it is what allows things to appear at all. Allah, in this view, is not a being competing with other beings. Allah is being as such. Everything that exists does so without owning existence. If existence is one, and all things depend on it entirely, in what sense could anything exist independently? Wahdat al-Wujud, often translated as unity of being, is frequently misunderstood. Ibn Arabi does not claim that everything is God. He states something more precise: only God truly exists, while everything else exists through God. Created things are neither identical with Allah nor separate from Him. They possess no independent existence. If all things depend completely on a single reality for their existence, how solid is the idea of separation? Ibn Arabi is careful to separate understanding from imagination. He does not encourage symbolic images or emotional intensity as paths to knowing Allah. Imagination simplifies what cannot be simplified. It replaces inquiry with comfort. When people imagine God, they often create conceptual idols, ideas that feel graspable but distort reality. The mind prefers what it can hold. But preference is not a measure of truth. Does familiarity reveal reality, or does it conceal what resists being reduced? If Allah is absolute being, the question turns back toward you. What is the self? Ibn Arabi argues that the self is not an independent entity. It is a temporary configuration of existence, not its source. You say, I exist, but existence is not something you produce or own. It is given, moment by moment. If existence itself is borrowed, what exactly are you claiming when you speak of possession, control, or absolute autonomy? From this perspective, worship changes meaning. It is no longer an attempt to reach a distant God. It becomes recognition of a reality that was never absent. Prayer does not inform Allah of needs or desires. It reorganizes understanding. Recognition replaces negotiation. If Allah is not distant, what does it mean to approach Him? And if He is never absent, what does neglect truly signify? As understanding deepens, certainty does not harden, it softens. Ibn Arabi repeatedly warns against claiming final knowledge of Allah. To fully comprehend the infinite would require infinity itself. Intellectual humility is not weakness, it is coherence. When certainty becomes rigid, it stops reflecting truth and begins enforcing control. Does unwavering certainty indicate insight or resistance to continued understanding? Ibn Arabi does not abandon Islamic law or scripture. He deepens them. Literalism freezes meaning into static forms. Revelation addresses multiple levels of understanding simultaneously. Not all meanings are intellectual, but none are exhausted by surface readings. If revelation is infinite in depth, why reduce it to a single, closed interpretation? The question, "Who is Allah?" does not conclude with a definition. It concludes with clarity about what definition cannot do. Ibn Arabi does not offer a new image of God. He removes false certainty. What remains is not confusion, but intellectual stillness. You stop trying to possess the concept of Allah and begin recognizing the limits of possession itself. If knowing Allah means recognizing what cannot be contained by thought, is that the absence of knowledge, or its most disciplined form?